With Eddie Brock and the Carnage symbiote being stuck together since the conclusion of Venom War, Eddie has now found a way to get rid of Carnage for good. And Carnage is out here fighting for his life. And all of this ties to the Green Phoenix, who Eddie's been having visions of for a while now. And we finally get to hear her story, which I imagine is far from over. So with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so coming back, this continues where we left off, with Eddie and Carnage making their way to the Green Phoenix wellness retreat, so Eddie could find this woman who would often appear in his visions, where she would tell Eddie if he ever wants this to end, he would have to remember her. And now that he's found her, of course it sounds crazy to explain, which is why it's not that surprising that she reacted the way that she did. So I get it on her part, but at the same time, this place is supposed to be a wellness retreat, so she can't be mad at Eddie if he leaves here and gives this place 1 star. But as she's dragging Eddie inside, Eddie asks Carnage to heal him, cause he's too weak to break out of this as is. And it's here where Carnage is like, oh Eddie, I'm sure I will eventually, but don't you want to see where this goes? I think it's all pretty amusing. You thought you were putting one over on me, bringing us to this Molina woman instead of a serial killer. Looks like she's a killer after all. And at this point, Eddie's like, Carnage, please. But Carnage just tells him no. You lied to me, Eddie Brock. Now you can lie there too. Because another part of this arrangement between Carnage and Eddie, aside from just hunting serial killers, is the fact that Carnage told Eddie if they come across a killer who Carnage believes will be a better host, Carnage will drop Eddie for them. And aside from this including some of the people on Carnage's hit list, we've also seen Carnage express interest in leaving Eddie for Muse. So it's going to be really interesting when Muse catches up with these guys. But nonetheless, in the here and now, so far Carnage is starting to take a liking to Molina. And even now with her dragging Eddie and saying like, man, why you gotta be so bulky? And there's a moment when she tells Eddie like, maybe I should cut your arms off, to lighten the load. And Eddie's like, Carnage, did you hear that? To signal Carnage for help, because it's like, we're in danger. But Carnage is just like, of course I did, Eddie. And I think this increasingly fascinating woman is right. You do need to lighten up. And it's like, man, not only is Carnage petty, but the jokes ain't slowing down no time soon. And to make matters worse, she drags Eddie downstairs. So of course his head is just going baka 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 baka. But now Carnage is asking Eddie, what do you think she wants with us? What do you think she's going to do? Because to be honest, with her admitting that she doesn't have a symbiote, not anymore at least, only to move forward and be this confident handling somebody who does, that in itself should be very concerning. And on top of that, when they see she's got a glass room with a chain and a hook coming down from the ceiling, that right there lets you know that she's into some questionable activities. And never mind a safe word, because Eddie's gagged. And so to get him inside of this glass room, she brings the chain out to Eddie as he's laying at the bottom of the steps. She hooks it onto him and wheels him in. And while Eddie's just mumbling and really pleading for his life, she just tells him, oh, don't be a baby. This is for your own good. This is a place of healing. And once he's inside, Molina gives him an injection of this green stuff while telling Eddie it's for the pain. And at this point, Eddie's telling Carnage like, okay, you've had your fun, but this is about to get very bad. Like, I need help. And Carnage tells him that he's tempted to let this play out. And he reminds Eddie of the deal of where Eddie's bested by a killer, Carnage will switch over to them as a new host and an upgrade. And Carnage is like, she could fit the bill. Then he tells Eddie like, but you're probably right. And he restores Eddie enough for him to attack, only for Molina to get out of the glass room just in the nick of time. And once she's out, it's not long before she hits him with the sonics. And she tells Eddie here, I've got sonics built into that cell. You probably figured that out by now. I've also got fire, electricity, acid. You're in a killbox, Eddie Brock, designed to end symbiotes and their hosts along with them. The only way you get out of there is if I decide you should. So tell me why I should. And now this is where things start to open up quite a bit, starting with Eddie, who at first tells Molina that his explanation is the same as before, where like he told her he used to be the King in Black. But that alone is doing nothing for her. She's like, you're acting like I should know who that is. So Eddie tells her here, you said you had a symbiote once too. The King in Black is the center of the whole symbiote web. Every symbiote everywhere is connected to the King. It can see everything. They see experience, everything they do. It can be anywhere in the universe at any time, anywhere there's a symbiote. And now when Eddie tells Molina this, now she gets it. And she's like, oh wait, that was you? And Eddie tells her for a while, not anymore. And as he goes on to explain what it was like during his time as the King in Black, Eddie admits to something here that I think is often looked over or easily forgotten. Because when he goes on to talk about what it was like looking into people's lives and their experiences, he says, I got lost in it sometimes, a lot of the time. All those lives, hosts, experiences, I loved it. I'd go deep and wouldn't come out for a while. And Molina just calls it for what it is. She's like, you got hooked. And Eddie doesn't deny it. He's like, yeah, I got hooked. And right away, I gotta say, this reminds me of what we saw back in Venom issue 200, just after Eddie became the King in Black, where at the time we got our first look of Eddie using this ability to travel throughout space and even reflect on moments from his past. But after getting this power and being able to see so much of not only his life, but anywhere that there's a symbiote, or where there was a symbiote, or will be a symbiote, on Earth in the present time, where his body physically was while his mind was everywhere else, all of this took a crazy toll on Eddie, because with spreading himself so thin across the far reaches of the universe, this physically had him aging rapidly. And I mean, since then, Eddie's body's been destroyed and remade a number of times, which has allowed him to get his youthful look back. But also, just on the topic of Eddie overdoing it with these abilities and admittedly enjoying it, we would later see that if this was all left unchecked, it would take Eddie down a path to eventually becoming Meridius, which is a very long path with numerous steps involved that we don't have to get into right now. But if you'd like to, I got a playlist in the description for the 2021 Venom series when we got the story of how and why Eddie became Meridius, which was very much based around Eddie choosing himself over the higher purpose. But yeah, in the here and now with Eddie just admitting that he was hooked, that's one way to put it. And he goes on to tell her, but lately, things have been complicated for me. I think my subconscious is pulling up memories from my time as the King in Black to help, showing me things. It showed me you. I must have seen your symbiote while I was the King in Black, connected with you for a moment, but only that moment, because something was changing for you. The connection was fading, both for me as the king and between you and your symbiote. It was dying. I was with you when it happened. I don't know what you did, Molina. You found a way to purge your symbiote, to get rid of it forever. I felt it go, but I know the two of you had a deep bond, the kind that kills its host if it stops. That's the kind I have too. Please, Molina, that's why I'm here. I need to know how you did it. And of course, as Eddie's saying this, Carnage is listening. And in Eddie's mind, Carnage is telling him like, oh, you bastard. When I get my strength back, because Carnage is just now figuring out what Eddie wants out of this. And it leads to a pretty funny exchange, because next Molina's like, weren't you just trying to kill me a minute ago? And Eddie's like, no, you tried to kill me first. And then she tells him, I knew you wouldn't die, you have a symbiote. Takes more than a few bullets to kill one. That was just to calm you down. Then Eddie's like, oh, so that's why you put me in the kill box. And I mean, I get where she's coming from, because she tells him here, better safe than sorry. And then she asks Eddie what's his symbiote's name. And when Eddie starts, he's like, it's, but then Carnage is like, no, we are. Then Eddie tells her, Carnage. And for Molina, she's just like, okay, that's all I need to know. So now she's debating on whether or not she should kill them both. And Eddie basically tells her if that's what she feels like she needs to do, then he might deserve it for one reason or another. But he didn't come here to die. And it almost comes off like Eddie's ready to be free one way or another. Because he goes on to say here, I know what it means to be a good man. Good men walk in light. Most of the time, I'm in the dark, walking toward that light. I can see it, out there, on the horizon. But my life, the things that have happened to me, it makes it hard to get there. That's because I'm dragging all this weight. You wouldn't believe the things I've been involved with. It hasn't been all bad either, but I've done a lot of good. I have, but that's not what people remember. It's not even really what I remember. It's always the bad, the mistakes, the weight. You can't really reduce it. It all happened, right? All you can do is keep going, one step at a time. Try to get to the light. But now, I've got this thing in me. It's heavier than the rest. It doesn't just want to hold me back. It wants to drag me down, away from the light, into the dark. And now when Molina hears Eddie's story, this is where she opens up and tells him the story of her symbiote, because she says here, freedom. That's what my symbiote meant to me. From the moment I first felt that strength pouring through me, after the bond, I no longer had any boundaries. More importantly, no rules. I could do anything. I didn't need to worry about any of the things most people do. Earning money, other people's opinions, things they might want from me, food, shelter, even getting hurt didn't matter. Things other people had to care about, I didn't. I wasn't really a part of humanity anymore. I was a host. That bond was everything to me. Freedom, and power, and joy. I loved it. That love replaced all my old loves, my husband, my children. I didn't let myself think about what I'd done, or even how I was actually living. I convinced myself I was lucky, that the people I'd left behind would be happy for me. Our capacity to deceive ourselves is truly breathtaking. That was the lie. This was the truth. My soul was dying. You can't hurt people you love that much and not hurt yourself too. I pretended I couldn't feel it, but my symbiote knew the truth I was hiding from myself. She loved me, just as I loved her, and so she decided to save me. She gave me a gift, a serum. Using chemicals found in common plants, it's not even that difficult to make. It ends the bond, but that's not all. It makes a human's body unpalatable for the Clintar. Even if I found another symbiote, I wouldn't be able to bond with it. What I didn't know, what she didn't tell me, is that using the serum while you're bonded kills the symbiote. She ended her life to return mine to me. Not all symbiotes are the same. Yours brings you carnage, mine always gave me freedom. I tried to go home, it didn't work. The hurt was too great. My family wanted nothing to do with me. I understand that. Sometimes it's too late, but I wanted to use my life for something good. I decided to make Green Phoenix a home, where people could come if they needed help, recovery, change, if they're carrying too much weight. And just after that, she lets Eddie down. And I mean, he's still in chains, but she's giving him some slack here. And for Eddie, after hearing Molina's story, because now he's like, yo, you really do have a way to do it. Can you make more of the serum? How long does it take to work? And he's like, Carnage is weak right now. This might be our only chance to do it. And he's basically begging her to use this serum on him. But then Molina tells him, oh honey, what do you think I injected you with? Because that injection she gave him earlier, where she was like, oh, this is for the pain, that was the first infusion of the serum. And she tells him here it needs a second dose to fully take and become permanent. But I've got it ready, and I think I've heard enough about your situation. You're sincere in your desire for change, for recovery. And then it's here where he hears this little voice deep down inside say, Eddie. Because now Carnage is basically begging for his life. Like, come on, man, don't do this to me, man. Don't do me like that, Eddie. And you can tell Carnage can feel that first dose of that serum working. He's way weaker. So now he's quite literally begging for his life, saying things to Eddie like, what'd I ever do to you? I only tried to help you, to make you feel good, strong, to give you what you wanted. Eddie, please, we're in this together. And I'll tell you right now, man, I was expecting Carnage to drop a "we all we got" line in here somewhere. But next, Molina tells Eddie that she notices how his symbiote has healed him a little bit from earlier, but even still, he's gonna need some more time to recover before the second injection. So she's like, I'll keep you down here for now, but we'll get those chains off of you and you can rest for a while. You can stay as long as you want, Eddie Brock. Your new life has begun, my friend. But right in the middle of this, the doorbell gets to ringing, and Molina knows she doesn't have another appointment scheduled for today. So she's like, perhaps it's a delivery. So she goes to check the door while telling Eddie she'll be right back. And funny enough, the trail of blood from when she shot Eddie and dragged him in, it's still there, which is kind of crazy. And it might play into something else down the line, not really sure yet. But when she opens the door, standing in front of her is someone who came quite a long way to see Eddie Brock. And that someone is Muse, who I imagine already knows what happened on this doorstep, just based on what he's picking up from the blood, the gunpowder, perhaps the scratches from dragging Eddie inside. And I can't wait to see how this plays out, especially with Eddie and Carnage being in a weakened state, because Eddie's not fully recovered and Carnage, his health is declining rapidly. And on top of that, Carnage has been wanting to meet Muse for quite a while. So yeah, this is all about to get real exciting. So with that said, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and let me know if you're hoping to see Muse become the new host of the Carnage symbiote. Because personally, I wouldn't mind, not one bit. And also, let me know your thoughts on the Green Phoenix symbiote. Because based on how most Phoenixes work, I got a feeling that death is not the end for this one. And we'll be seeing her again soon. But let me know what you guys think. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. All right, later.